Good morning. My name is Corinda Washington. I'm the Chief of Staff at the DHS Office of Partnership and Engagement, or OPE, one of the co-planners for this morning's event. Welcome to Leader by Mistake, a professional development training opportunity powered by DHS Leadership Year. Please rise for the presentation of arms by the Federal Protective Service, FPS Honor Guard, and the singing of our national anthem by Princess Young of MPPD, Cybersecurity and Communications.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Out from the way. Forward.
Let's thank Princess. That was amazing. Thank you. Thanks again, FPS, for providing the honor guard today, and MPPD for letting Princess go for a little while to share with us today with the national anthem. You can be seated, please. Before we move forward with the program, I want to draw your attention to the emergency exits. We are Homeland Security, so we can't not go any further with that. So we do have two exits to the sides here and in back. And the meetup area, in case we have to evacuate the building, you will follow the direction of the protective services here at Department of Commerce. For where we were gathered, there are two parks that are adjacent to the building, are where the convening areas are. So if there is an emergency here and we have to evacuate the building, please follow the direction of the Department of Commerce Security. The restrooms are right out this door to the right, and you can also access them to the left. We also want you to follow the conversation on your social media outlets and platforms through DHS, #DHS Leadership Year. Next, we'll have opening remarks by OPE Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary John Barsa, followed by, and bear with me, this is a title, FPS Deputy Director for Resource Management, Strategy, and Policy, Ms. Michelle Bryan. Pitas Barca.
Thank you, Corinda, and thank you all of you for helping put this together. Especially, I would like to thank the Department of Commerce for the gracious hospitality in allowing us to participate in this event, this leadership event, as we work on celebrating, leadership this year. So thank you for the Department of Commerce. I would also like to thank all the components that came together at DHS to help make this event happen. This is truly a unity of effort event. It couldn't have taken place without the work of many people coming together. But at the end of the day, this event is for you, the individuals who are watching us live, who are watching us on the internet. We hope that this is valuable to you, and you come away from this event challenged, inspired to work on your leadership skills and to develop professionally. And again, thank you for participating, and we hope this is a wonderful event for you. Thank you so much.
Ms. Michelle Bryan.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming out. I would like to greatly appreciate the team that helped to put this together all across the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Commerce, and all of the individuals that volunteered countless hours over the last month and a half to really bring this together, to include our guest speaker, Jacqueline Baker. When we talk about leadership throughout the department, and when we first entered into this year of leadership with the S1 and the S2, many looked at this as this opportunity, or this as a chore, or a task, or an activity, or this thing to do. But for those that participated in the event today, and through the leadership of the Secretary, we know that this is not just about a task or an activity or a thing to do. It's really about culture. It's really about instilling those things that are important to us as an organization, which is about the people that we work with, the employees that we serve. And for me, leadership is all about service. My team asked me repeatedly, what's the most important thing for you when it comes to leadership? I said, it's about service. I like to win. I said, well, what do you mean when you say you like to win, ma'am? It's not about crossing the yellow line or the tape. It's really about, at the end of the day, when my team, the folks that I service, the officers that I service, they have the tools that they need to survive, to be able to successfully carry out the mission of the Federal Protective Service, public service, when they're not worried about their paychecks or their benefits, but they're concentrating on the protection of people, the 2.4 million people that enter federal facilities every single day, the safety of your mom, your dad, your sister, your brothers that are entering the Social Security Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, the Department of Commerce. When they have those tools and are not worried about anything but this facility, that's when I say we've won. That's what winning is about when it comes to leadership. It's about service, it's about understanding, it's about listening. And as a leader, integrity, vulnerability, and humility are key. And we often look for leadership in titles. It's not about the title. Leadership is not a noun, it's a verb. You can lead at every level within your organization. Lead in the circle, lead at the top of the conference table, lead in the middle. Leadership is about your ability to influence and service others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pitas Barca and Director Bryan. Now we're going to get to the good stuff. That was really great stuff. We're going to get to even more because it's time for our guest speaker. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to author and leadership coach, Mrs. Jacqueline M. Baker. I'm sure many of you have already Googled her or looked her up on LinkedIn, so I won't bore you with a whole bio, but I will give you a few highlights of her career. She's coached C-suite executives and professional athletes on how to properly deliver etiquette, Not only to the C-suite, she has a passion and a heart for her local community by also serving youth and young adults from her hometown of Detroit, but also throughout the country. Last week, the Navy beat us by a few days and welcomed her into the federal government to deliver the same amount of passion that she has delivered to C-suite executives all around the world. And so today is with great pleasure that I introduce you to Jacqueline Baker.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Okay, come on. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I know that I heard that the metro was on fire this morning, but hopefully everybody is all good. I'm sure they're still trickling in. But today, what you can expect from me is a very active and engaged presentation, okay? So at some point, I'm probably gonna get in your personal space, and at some point, I'm probably just gonna come over and I want you to just pull that energy out. Don't be afraid to shout out things throughout the presentation, because that is a huge component of leadership as well. It's just being honest, open, and transparent. So thank you for that introduction, Corinda. It is an absolute honor to be here today. And I am certain that many of you have been looking forward to this as well, because I've had the pleasure of connecting with some of you before today even started. I shouldn't really be surprised that you guys reached out, and we're trying to be a little bit more prepared than normal because you are the Department of Homeland Security, which is all about preparation. But what I will say is in your search or in your research about me, there are probably a few words that kept coming up, right? The word etiquette probably came up, the word leadership probably came up, and event planning probably came up too, because those are parts of my career. But what I will say is that a lot of people tend to shy away from those three words, right? Most people are like, etiquette, whatever, I'm gonna do it my way, right? Event planning, no, I'm not planning the next baby shower or the next birthday party or whatever, like I'm over that, right? And leadership, I'll get to it. But what I will be completely transparent and honest with you in saying today is that I approach all three of those things in very different ways. Okay, number one, I don't even plan events anymore. I'm not in the industry anymore. Totally over it, right? I love events, but I'm over planning events, right? Leadership. My leadership style is completely different. I believe that you can be a leader at any level, from the internship to the C-suite. And then also etiquette, right? Who here gets a little nervous when you're sitting at a table with an etiquette expert? That happens. Whenever I'm out to eat and someone says, hey, Jacqueline's here, she's here to talk, she's here just for dinner, everybody gets a little bit nervous. Why? Because the etiquette lady is at the table. What I can guarantee you today is that I will relieve your tension and your stress just a little bit around those three topics. But if we go back to event planning, where I spent 8 years of my career in Detroit, Michigan, which is where I'm originally from, it is interesting that at one point in my life, I never envisioned that I would be doing anything outside of event planning. Has anybody here ever been in that space where you're like, okay, I'm doing this, and I really can't see beyond that. Like, this is what I'm doing. For 8 years, I was an event planner. And it's funny, when you're in a space like that, like if you've been in a career for 5 years, 10 years, however long, sometimes you can't see beyond that career. It's sort of normal. And so I wonder from you, right, what are some things that have happened maybe in the past 2 years that you were like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that changing. Like, that never crossed my mind. I'll throw you a bone before I make you answer. SpaceX, right? Who thought that a civilian would start to venture towards colonizing Mars? Like, I didn't see that coming. What do you think? Throw me out some pop culture things, maybe some personal things, some professional things. What things have happened in the past 2 years in your life that you're like, I didn't see that coming? What is it? Brexit? Didn't see that coming, right? Like, what? Right? What else? Last 2 years, you didn't see that coming. Airbnb and Uber. Like, who would have thought we would be super cool about hopping in a stranger's car, right? Or living in a stranger's house. Like, who saw that coming? What else? Last 2 years. I'll give you another one. Amazon, no, let's just be honest with what it is. Amazon taking over everything, right? Like, taking over my life, but I still rely on them. What about this? Totally messed that up. Like, don't you have, like, accountants for this? Like, don't you have teleprompters? I don't even have a teleprompter today, right? How did you mess that up? What else? Last 2 years, things that you just didn't see coming. Alexa, right? I use Alexa for everything. She actually makes me lazy, and we'll talk about that in a second. And what about this? Wasn't there like a magic around the eclipse that you were just like, wait, why are we so hyped about the eclipse? I think honestly, when it came to the eclipse, we were looking for something positive and awesome to galvanize around, right? It was just like, this is good. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what level you're at. We can all go outside and get with the eclipse right now, right? That's what we all thought. But what's even more interesting is sometimes the L word is another one of those things that we didn't see coming. Who here is a leader and you're thinking to yourself, when did this happen? Who became a leader just by accident? Raise your hand. You're just like, oh, wait, okay, somebody's calling on me to do this, or I'm at this level. Yeah, I'm smart and I'm confident, but when did I get here? Sometimes leadership happens by accident as well. It's just something that you're just like, I didn't see it coming, but okay, let's roll with it. So as we talk about leadership, and I spent a great deal of time researching leadership before I wrote the book, Leader by Mistake. Researching, what does it mean? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to other people? The challenging part of leadership is that the definitions are all over the place, right? It's a ton of different definitions of leadership. And the challenge with that is that all of them that I've come across are accurate, depending on what the space, time, and result is that you're trying to get. Leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. Bill Bradley. That's true. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John Maxwell. That's accurate. Effective leadership is putting first things first. Effective management is discipline and carrying it out. Stephen Covey. Yep, that's accurate. Leadership is doing what is right when no one is watching. Who thinks that's right? Who thinks it's right? Yep. When nobody's watching, you're still doing the right thing, all right? George Van Valkenburg. Effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. Peter F. Drucker. The challenging part of all that is that every one of those is true. So the question becomes, when do I apply this definition in this moment versus when do I apply it in another moment? And here's the reality, is that leadership comes in levels. Plain and simple, there are levels to this. There are levels to leadership. Leader of nations, highest level. Leading communities, leading people everywhere, making change in all facets of the earth. Leader of organizations, CEOs, board presidents, some C-suite executives. Leader of others, right? Managers, supervisors. But then there's this other special category of leaders that we don't really talk about. The special category that everyone sitting in this room falls into. But we forget that this is the most important level of leadership, and it's the leader of self. If I took a poll in the room right now and asked who's a leader, no one's hand should be down. And the reason why is because at the very basic level of who we are and why we exist, you are responsible for leading yourself. You cannot lead a nation. You cannot lead an organization. You cannot lead other people unless you have mastered the art of leading yourself. But at the very baseline of leading yourself, there is a responsibility. And this responsibility involves getting yourself up and getting yourself pumped for the day. So I heard Alexa. Clearly you use Alexa just as much as I do. What wakes you guys up in the morning? What tools do you use to wake yourself up? Holler it out. Your cell phone. What else? Workout. You just get up, doing push-ups? You just get up and work out? Coffee. Okay, what else wakes you up? What tools do you use to wake yourself up is the question. What is it? Your neighbor's dog. You need to get a new neighbor, man. All right, what else? What is it? Phones, music, right? I use Amazon Alexa. Anybody else use Amazon Alexa? Or Alexa? Okay. Or Amazon Echo is what it's really called, right? The problem with Amazon Alexa for me is that it's so easy to say, Alexa, snooze. And literally, she just comes back on 15 minutes later, right? That's all that she does. But does anybody here use an old school alarm clock? Old school alarm, okay, great. Old school alarm clocks work, really? Because you have to do something, right? It makes it a lot less easy to just go and say, hey, Amazon, can you just snooze for another 15 minutes, right? But the reality is, at some point, Alexa didn't exist, and we were all using old school alarm clocks. It's just what we did. And do you know what that simple transition from old school alarm clocks to now Amazon Alexa is? It's a simple C word. Change. Change is inevitable. Who here does not like change by a show of hands? Show me, be honest. Who doesn't like change? Only one hand, two hands. Everybody else is in love with change, three hands. Okay, I see a couple people being honest, thank you. Change is inevitable. And let me be brutal honest, give you some brutal honesty right now. Everything in your life will change at some point. Everything. And as much as we want to escape it, as much as we want to outrun it, as much as we want to pretend that it's not going to happen, everything in our life changes. But for some reason, we just cannot get okay with it. We know it's going to happen. You know that the level of your relationships, all of them, is going to change at some point. You know that your job will change at some point. Maybe it will get eliminated. Maybe you'll get more people in your department. Maybe you will rise to a higher status. But at some point, it'll change. I'll put money on it. It will change. Change is inevitable. And so it is important as a leader of self to recognize that. Even if you don't feel good about it, even if you don't want to embrace it, the reality is change is inevitable. But when I think about Amazon Alexa and I think about change, it makes me think about where we once were. Where's some technology, or what is some technology that you used to use that you thought would never change? You're just like, man, this is it. I have this technology and it's never going to change. Tell me, what's some technology you used to use that you thought would never go away? A pager. Hit me if it's major. Only on my pager, right? Pager. Never going to go away. What else? Blackberries. BBM. Give me your BBM pin, right? I loved Blackberry. What else? Your iPod. It's done. It's over, right? What else? MySpace? Okay. Black Planet, if we want to go one step further. What else did you think would never change? Floppy disks. But aren't we happy that went away, right? What about the VCR? Was anybody like, yeah, this is it. I got the ultimate tape collection. My father still thinks this is where it's at. Now, he still got tape stacked up. I'm like, Dad, it's over. Like, just, it's done, all right? But when you think about the VCR, you think about change, you think about technology and how those things are important to be embraced. I want you to think about the components, the letter of a VCR, to help guide your leadership journey. Each of you should have gotten a sheet of paper, and it is a handout, because, yeah, we're going to do a little bit of work today. I'm about action, right? I don't like to sit and complain about something too long. Let's take some action. So today on your handouts, you can follow along and fill out the questions that I'll ask you throughout the presentation. So I want you to think about a VCR. Today we're going to explore 3 different components of the VCR. All right? We're going to explore vulnerability and how that relates to leadership. We're going to explore credibility and how that relates to leadership. And we're also going to explore risks. And just by a show of hands, so I know what I'm working with, who here likes risks? You can stomach a good risk. Who here is risk averse? You're just like, just leave it alone. Raise your hands high. Be honest. Okay. All right. So we'll talk about that. So let's kick it off with vulnerability. The best way for me to approach vulnerability is for me to be vulnerable with you. Let me just be flat out honest. And I'm going to throw myself a curveball, a soft curveball, and tell you some vulnerable things about me, all right? First of all, I love cheese. Cheese is my favorite food ever, specifically Gouda, all right? Remember, I'm throwing myself a curveball here, some easy stuff. Wine. I love wine. Let me repeat that again. I love wine. Where are my wine fans in the room? Be honest. Okay, well, this is the most hands I've gotten up all day. All right, that's fair. Cabernet, if you ever like to get me something. And I love ice cream. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let me take it one step further. That was me being easy on you. But let me be even more honest, okay? I speak all over the country, now in 13 states, from etiquette to leadership, to how to be confident in your own skin. I speak all over. I love to have a good time. This is me in Mexico, and yes, that's a bra top. Love it, love to have a great time, all right? I also love wine again. I just wanted to be crystal clear about that there. And last but not least, I wrote a book last year called Leader by Mistake, which chronicles my leadership journey, and it really identifies some vulnerabilities and some mistakes that I made, and gives a blueprint of how not to make those mistakes. But you know what all those things together create? They create a brand conflict. I can guarantee you that my marketing consultant, Sharice, out of Texas, is watching this live stream and thinking, I told her to not put those pictures up there. But I want to be honest, and I want to be transparent with you about what I like to do and how sometimes posting about the fact that I like wine is a brand conflict, right? I teach etiquette, and sometimes that's a super conservative lane to live in, and people are like, well, you can't talk about that. Well, it's honest. It is what I like, right? But with the brand conflict sometimes, it puts me in a position to make mistakes. So out the gate, I'm going to reveal to you some mistakes that I used to make in the past that I don't want you to make in the future. So let's get started. My first mistake, I didn't make enough deposits in my relationship accounts. I didn't make enough deposits in my relationship accounts. And here's what that means. I look at every single relationship that I have as an account. There are deposits and there are withdrawals. What I try not to do is to make so many withdrawals that I've gone into the negative. Because I know at some point I'm going to need something from someone, right? I'm going to need a favor. I'm going to need you to review a report for me. I'm going to need you to stay after work to help me out with something that the boss put me on a tight deadline for. And if I'm taking out all these withdrawals out of these accounts and I've never put in any deposits, I'm going to go into the negative. So take me personally, for example. I'm always on the road. Most of my friends are still in Detroit, Michigan, right? They've grown up, they've gotten married, they have kids, their kids are having fundraisers, they're having birthday parties. I'm missing everything, everything. So you guarantee when one of my friends comes to me and said, hey, my kid is having a fundraiser, can you donate? The answer usually is yes. And one of the reasons why it's yes is because, one, I love my friends and I want to support them, but at some point I'm going to need something from them. Hey, Cassie, can you come volunteer at an event for me? Hey, Byron, could you please come over here and do this for me? If I'm asking them for favors and my bank account's going into the negative, that's a no good relationship, all right? So I'm going to throw you a bone here. I'm going to tell you 3 easy, quick ways to make deposits into your accounts. And this is on a business level. I gave you some personal examples, but let me tell you how to make some quick, easy deposits. First of all, share the conversation, okay? Is there anyone in your office that you can think of who is a know-it-all? Everybody's silent because maybe that person's next to you. Is anybody here? Okay, so there are people around us who often get the spotlight. But you can also think of some people in your office who never get the spotlight. No one ever asks their opinion. No one ever asks what they think about anything. And making a deposit, an easy way to do that is by pulling them in. Hey, Kim, what do you think about this? Or if the boss asks your opinion, and you know Kim never gets any shine, just say, hey, Kim's the one who worked on this, so maybe we should pull her into the conversation. So share the conversation. Super easy. You don't have to take all the kudos. Pull in someone else every now and then. Also listen, okay? Let me ask another transparent question. Where are my smile and nodders? Somebody's talking to you, and you're just like, Yep, I see some hands going up, And they ask you, well, what do you mean? And you're just like, because you don't know what they're talking about. So listen to listen. Let me be honest here in saying I still struggle in this area, and here's why. I am a solver. I am a solution-y kind of person. When someone tells me something and they say, hey, Jacqueline, I really want to run a marathon, my mind immediately goes to, well, there's a marathon coming up that I know about, and I'll help you. I'll be your accountability partner and help you train. I just go into solution mode. But they could have ended that statement with, at least I wanted to do that last year, but I don't want to do that anymore. But I've already stopped listening and went into solution mode. So listening is important from beginning to end because you'll miss half the story and start doing work that you really don't need to do, all right? So share the conversation, listen, and ask questions. Don't feel like you're about to be the stupid person in the room by asking the question because I guarantee you 5 more people at the table are thinking the same question and just haven't fessed up and asked the question, so they're waiting on you. So these are easy ways to make deposits into your relationship account. Allow me to make a deposit. I said that I wrote a book last year called Leader by Mistake, and in a second you're going to get not a gift from me, because that's not allowed here, but I'm going to give you an educational supplement. Everyone will get a free bookmark from me, and Corinda will hand that out shortly. And if you want to pick up the book at any time, you can stick that bookmark right into the book. Second mistake I used to make is I wasn't honest about my engagement style or the style of others. I wasn't honest about my engagement style or the style of others. Let's talk about what that means. How many people do you think you encounter daily? Holler it out. It's okay. 20. No. How many people do you think you encounter daily? 100. I heard an 80 over here. How many people? Let's just go with a lot, because I think we're not going to agree. Okay, we encounter a lot of people daily. How many different personality types are there? Okay, I'm looking for a number on this one. About 80? No, it's not that many. 16. 16. There are 16 different personality types. Most of us are 1, some of us are 2, 3, or 4, depending on the day. All right? How long is the average adult attention span? 90 seconds. No. Close. Close. Less close. We can't go on until you guess. Close to. Thank you. The average adult attention span is 7 seconds. So what that means is that as I'm saying what I'm saying right now, somebody's tuning out. Right? And it's not always because you don't want to be where you're at. It's just that we got a lot of stuff going on. Right? You're thinking about, what am I going to cook for dinner? Right? What time, who's going to pick up my kid from soccer? Like, we just have a lot of stuff going on. So with all these things working against us, the fact that we encounter a lot of people daily, some people have single, multiple, 4 times the personality types that we have, and the average adult attention span is 7 seconds, it makes it very difficult for us to engage on a great level, because we're all over the place, right? So I have a question. I want to know if this describes you. And if as I call out these, just raise your hands one by one. Being around lots of people drains your energy. Okay, raise them high, raise them high. You have a small group of close friends. People may have a difficult time getting to know you. Too much stimulation leaves you feeling distracted and unfocused. You are very self-aware. You like to learn by watching. You are drawn to jobs that require independence. There's a lot of you there, okay? Even the cameraman raised his hand there. You're probably an introvert. You're probably an introvert, and we'll talk about that. Tell me if this is you. You crave social settings. It's funny because when I say you crave social settings, they raise their hand a little bit, and when you really want to go, that's me, that's me. Being alone zaps your energy. But being in groups energizes you. Okay. You like to take charge. You love to talk. Okay. Sometimes your energy can be overwhelming. You quickly jump into leadership roles. You're probably an extrovert. What do you think I am? What is it? Down the middle? I am clear down the middle. I'm what you call an ambivert. When I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, I'm off. Meaning after this presentation is over, I'm going to need about 30 minutes to just not talk. I just need some time to just chill and recharge my battery. And that's one reason why I am very, very intentional and careful about networking events. I don't go to a networking event without a goal in mind. I'm going to be there for 35 minutes. My goal is to meet 3 people, to talk to these people. I'll give myself 5 minutes to float a little bit, and then I have to leave. Because at that point, I'm up to my limit. When I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, I'm off. But I also have other clear guardrails. And it's important as a leader for us to set guardrails. One of my guardrails is not setting the people around me up for a disaster. So for example, I'll take my husband, who I'm sure is tuning in today. There are sometimes events that we go to separate. And it's because if we're having a good time somewhere, I'm not going to force him to leave with me because I've hit my social wall. And it's the same thing with friends, right? I'm like, hey, let's just drive separate because at some point I'm going to hit my social wall and I don't want to have to force you to leave. It's not fair. So I think knowing yourself and being self-aware is a great leadership skill to refine, right? Especially if you're leading other people, you got to have guardrails in place to know, okay, I can take 4 one-on-ones in a row, and after that, I'm going to be no good. After that, the 5th person is going to get a real crappy output out of me, right? So just knowing which bucket you fall into is important. Who here likes hugs? Raise them high. Everyone else, take a look around at these people. Who here does not like hugs? This is the more important question. Raise them real high, real high. Everyone else turn around and look at them. Somebody is making someone else raise their hand, like, please, let them know that you don't like hugs, and I don't know why. And somebody back there just forced a hug. I don't know what's happening over there. The reason why I want the people who like hugs to look at the people who don't like hugs is because there's this weird thing where people who do like hugs have a hard time understanding how people don't like hugs. Like, what do you mean? They're awesome. They feel so great. But that is another guardrail. Some people I know, good, close friends, do not like hugs. Colleagues, even when they're going through hard times or it's a great time, they don't like hugs. And who knows why? It's not my business to find out why somebody doesn't want to be touched. Like, I do not have to dig into that, and trust me, you don't want to, and you don't have to either. But some people, for trauma reasons, they don't like hugs. But I bring that up because that is a conversation around space. It's a conversation around personal boundaries and knowing when too close is just too close. And I have to battle that a lot as I travel the country, and I'm in airports. People are always just violating your personal space, right? But understanding those guardrails around space, and even if your employee's having a bad day, you don't want to force a hug on them. Maybe a hug is not really what they need. And last but not least, as it relates to this introvert and extrovert world, knowing yourself, knowing boundaries, knowing others, it's something simple, but something that I see done so often that I always got to address it. And it's business cards. Don't feel the need to just slang out business cards to everybody that you see and meet, because 50% of the time, it's a waste of time. You're just passing out money that's never going to be used. So if you go to a networking event, or you go somewhere and you meet someone, just because you had a good conversation doesn't mean that a business card needs to be exchanged. It could be this was a great conversation, have a fantastic day. Because who here, other than me, has a stack of business cards on their desk that you said you're going to do something with that you never did anything with, right? Oh, I'm going to digitize those, right? I'm going to categorize those by industry. I'm going to reach out to them. No, you're not. Those are going to be dusty sitting there for weeks because it never needed to be exchanged in the first place. It is okay to meet someone and say, you know what? It was great to meet you. Have a great day. And that's it. The next mistake that I made was I was too excited about the next best thing. This is one of the most important learning lessons I've had with mistakes. I was too excited about the next best thing. I have been teaching modern etiquette and leadership now for 7 years. And it is just in this last year that things have really been ramping up for me. My plan in starting this business was to teach etiquette to teen girls, which is important, and it's still important to me. But 6 months into doing this work, professional athletes start calling. 4 years into this work, Nike called. Just this year, Homeland and Defense called. But imagine if I would have gave up a long time ago. So I know that some of you sitting in the room are thinking, you know what, I've been doing this career for too long, or I'm tired, I don't feel appreciated. And I just want to say to you, just rethink it. Because maybe your next best thing is just around the corner and you're about to give up a little bit too soon. But let me give you some tips on how to avoid rushing to the next best thing. First, ejecting from a conversation. I see this done so often. Imagine you're standing in a group with your peers, and the big boss, maybe the big boss is in the room right now, the big boss comes in, and you just abandon all the people that you were standing there with to go and get some shine from the big boss. But think about this. When things really hit the fan, right, when you really need somebody to look at a report, you really need someone to stay after and help you out, who's going to help you out? It's not going to be the big boss. The big boss is going to be gone. Those same colleagues there that you rely on day to day, those are the ones who will look out for you. So I warn you in ejecting from a conversation or a situation without warning, without saying, excuse me, I'll be right back. Or I actually can't go to that meeting that you invited me to. I have to go do this. Not just shunning the people who will stick by you every day in your office or your colleagues. Second, your phone is your everything. Let me ask an honest question. Who here is addicted to their phone? Okay, most people's hands are raised, all right? The emails, the text messages, the communications will all be there when you get back. And here is plain and simple how I look at the phone situation. And I have 2 phones, so I'm not void of having a desire and a need to be in contact with my phone. There is nothing that will prevent any of us from walking out of here today and being hit by a bus and dying. I know it sounds morbid, but it is the honest truth. Nothing. So in this moment, when we have each other, when we have the opportunity to connect with each other in real time, face to face. Let's take advantage of that. If you're out to a meal, your phone will be there as soon as you get it out your pocket or your purse. Put your phone away. We will never have a moment like this ever again. And a true leader, a leader of self, knows that and knows that it is okay to put your phone away and connect with the people in front of you, because who knows if you'd see them again. So that's how I address your phone as your everything. Your phone will be there when you get back. You control your phone. Your phone doesn't control you. And last but not least, what is this person even saying? And this is avoiding the yep, smiling and nodding, and you look up and they ask you a question and you don't even know what they're talking about. Okay? So let's do a vulnerability check. Take out your handouts. I want you to answer a question for yourself and be honest. What is a mistake that you keep making? You know you keep making, that you should reflect and learn from, or a mistake that you made in the past that you haven't taken the time to truly learn from? What is a mistake that you keep making? You keep on making it, that you should reflect and learn from, or a mistake that you made in the past that you haven't taken the time to truly learn from, okay? I'll give you 90 seconds, so a minute and a half to answer that. Go ahead and write it in. If you want to type it in your phone, technology doesn't fear me. I'll read it one more time. What's a mistake that you keep making that you should reflect and learn from, or a mistake that you made in the past that you haven't taken the time to truly learn from? I'll give you one more minute. And be honest, I won't make you tell me it out loud. You can tuck it in your pocket when you're done. Okay, we'll move along. Credibility. You've talked about vulnerability. Let's talk about credibility. Some of you aren't going to like what I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to be flat out honest with you. But in looking around the room, most people are dressed to the nines, so we're all good. How you dress matters. And as many times as I think you've been told that over the years, at some point in our life, we're like, screw it. I'm just going to dress how I want to dress. I'm going to do what I want to do, right? How you dress matters. And I'm very careful in making this next statement. On the fact that it's being live streamed to the world, I guess it's the cat's going to be out the bag now, right? But this next statement is 100% honest and true. There have been opportunities that I have been presented that I question if I should have been presented those opportunities. But because I looked the part, the opportunity was mine. Is it fair? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But the reality is, as humans, how long is our attention span? 7 seconds, right? We quickly make decisions. We have a lot of information that's thrown at us. And how you dress and present yourself, it totally rises to the top if you're trying to make a decision. Think about a resume that's in front of you, right? It's like, oh, there's a coffee stain on here, it's out. This resume could be someone who is completely overqualified for this position, right? But they've had a typo on it or had a coffee stain on it. And it's the same thing with clothing, right? There are times that I know that I can dress like this, and there are times that I know that I can't. There are times that I know that I have to wear a blazer, and times that I know that I don't have to. And so I could go down a whole list of, here's this type of clothing, and that type of clothing, and when you wear this, and where you wear that, but I'm going to leave it just clear at this point, because we can all go to YouTube and all go online and Google different clothing styles and when to wear this and when to wear that, and worst case, you could always call me. But the reality is, clothing matters, and looking the part matters, because there have been several opportunities when I've been at a board table or at a meeting and I was a little confused about what was going on, but I looked like I was supposed to be there. And that look of me being there bought me the opportunity to come back again, learn some more, and then eventually feel super confident about being at the table. So the look matters. The act matters as well. Tell me who your favorite actor is. Your favorite actor. Taraji. Okay, I'm going for actor, not actress though. But I support you, I support you. Who is it? Okay, all right, Mr. Garcia. Who else? Who else your favorite actor? Leonardo DiCaprio. Who else? Favorite actor? I'm sorry, who is it? Michael B. Jordan, of course. It sounds like a Black Panther fan over here. All right, what else? Favorite actor? Hugh Jackman. Who do you think mine is? Denzel. No, it's not Denzel. I knew Denzel or Idris was going to come up. Mine is not Idris. It's not Idris, says the wife who knows her husband's watching. All right. Who do you think mine is? It's not George Clooney.
Will Smith.
It's not Will Smith. It's Johnny Depp. You know why it's Johnny Depp? Look at this. I mean, you believe him. When he gets into a role, he gets into a role. I believe that he had scissors growing out of his hand in Edwardson. You just believe it. Every single one of these roles, he gets into the role. I mean, look at his breadth of work. It is amazing, right? Let me stop because I'm getting into groupie mode here, right? I've gotten close to the screen, just getting a little creepy. But the reason why I like him is because he plays his part, right? And that's what I want to impress upon you from a leadership standpoint. Act your part. If you are the leader, be the leader. If you are designed to do a certain role or you have decided that you're going to do a role, act your part. You've signed up for it. Look the part, act the part, get into it. And last but not least is play your part. If you know for sure that you are the leader and your job is to move chess pieces out of the way so your team can be successful, play your part. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how stressful it is, your job is to play your part and move pieces around so people can be successful. Now, I will say, though, it is sort of difficult to look, act, or play your part if you don't have baseline business etiquette things down pat. Now, I make it a point that in any class that I teach, leadership, etiquette, whatever it may be, that who's ever in front of me, I don't leave without giving you some fundamental baseline etiquette tips. Why? Because that's important. So let's do it. Handshakes. Handshakes are simple. Firm grip, 2 pumps, and release. For the most part, I get good handshakes when I'm in a government agency. But I will say, one of the gripes that I have is that men tend to shake my hand weaker than they shake a woman's hand. Now, I'm not saying going in for the bone crusher, like don't hurt me, right? But I also shouldn't get a handshake that's weak and just at the tips. So I want you to turn to your neighbor and shake their hand with just the tip, please. Have you felt it? It feels like a wet rag, doesn't it? It's nasty. It's nasty. Right? It's disgusting. So here's what I don't want any weak tip handshakes anymore. All right? So firm grip, 2 pumps, and release. All right? No snapping, no swirling, none of that. Money. And the reason I bring this up is because as you climb the ladder of leadership, you're trying to refine your self-leader a little bit more. You come to a point when you're like, you know what? I need a mentor. I need someone to show me the way. I need some guidance. And you start to ask people out for coffee or drinks or dinner. And the asker is who pays. If you ask someone out for advice or mentorship or information, you pay. Now, you may decide sitting there like, hey, let's split. But it is your job to offer up to pay. The asker pays. So if I were you, I would be asking people out to coffee, not to Joe's Seafood. All right? Wine. I told you guys I like wine. Wine glasses are simple. Hold them by the stem, never by the goblet. And that's why I always feel cheated when they give you that short wine glass without a stem. I feel like I need some money back. I can need a couple dollars off of this wine because the stem's missing. All right? Wine glasses by the stem, never by the goblet. Electronic communication. I'll make 2 important points here. First is be mindful of your case in communication. Because although you may not be hollering, it looks like you're hollering when everything is in all caps. And then also as it relates to communication, I want you to call people what they want to be called. I am Jacqueline. I am not Jackie. Now there are some friends, a couple of them are here today, who can call me Jackie. We've been friends for 20 years, so they've put in the work, right? They can call me Jackie. But in business settings, call people what they want to be called. Instead of like, oh, that's, I want to call you this little nickname. The quickest way to lose respect from someone especially a subordinate or somebody that, works underneath you, is to just brush off their name and call them a nickname because you want them to take on that nickname. Call people what they want to be called. If they want to be called Jack, call them Jack. They want to be called Jackie, call them Jackie. If they want to be called Jacqueline like me, call me Jacqueline. Travel. I'll touch on this for just a moment as it relates to travel etiquette, and that's because I'm on a plane a couple times a month at least. What's your biggest travel pet peeve? I'm curious. Something that burns you up when you travel. Children. Oh, like their existence? What about children? Volume. Okay, all right. We can go down the children rabbit hole, right? There's so many kicking your seats, that whole thing. What else burns you up as it relates to travel? Armrest. What about the armrest? Okay, all right. Technically, the rule is the middle gets the armrest. The middle gets the armrest, people. We're already in the middle crunch. At least give us the armrest, right? I am actually one of those people who don't mind the middle. It doesn't make sense, but I feel safe in there. I know it doesn't make any sense. If we go down, we're all going down. But I just feel safe in there. But one thing I want you to be mindful of is seat selection. It may sound minimal, but think about this, because it happens to me a lot. I get to my seat, and someone has decided for me that they want my seat. Maybe they want to sit next to their wife, right? Or maybe they just want to reposition their seats. And that's happened to you before? You get to your seat, and someone has just sat there. And then they say, do you mind if I sit here? Maybe. You haven't given me the opportunity to decide, right? Now, usually, I don't care. Like, just get me on the plane, let me sit down, get me there safe, whatever. But if you've taken away my option to choose, I may just tell you no, right? I bought that seat just like you did. So if you want to switch seats with somebody, ask them before you just sit in their seat, all right? And last but not least is time. The greatest asset that we have is time. There are some people that I refuse to meet with anymore because they don't respect my time. Time is the one thing we can't get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. We can't barter it back. We can't steal it back. You can't do dance moves, pop and lock for it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. All right? So I impress upon you to make people respect your time. And if they don't get a front row anymore. And I think that goes for colleagues, subordinates, whomever. You have to have guardrails in order to be a leader of self. Let's do a credibility check. Take your sheets out. I want you to answer a question for yourself. Document one way that you can boost your credibility even more. And I'll give you some tips here. I need to refresh my headshot. My resume is way outdated. Not that you're looking for a job, but if one comes along, do you want to spend 2 weeks putting it together? Right? I need to spruce up my LinkedIn page because it's 4 jobs old. Right? It's 4 jobs old on LinkedIn. What's one way that you can boost your credibility even more? Right? Have you been asking people out to get their advice and you've been forcing them to pay? Are you taking someone's seat on the plane? Did you take my seat on the plane and make me sit somewhere else? Document one way that you can boost your credibility even more. And I'll give you 30 seconds for that. Document one way that you can boost your credibility even more. And last but not least, let's address risk. By a show of hands, once again, who here is averse to risk? You are not a comfortable risk taker. You like to play it safe. Raise them up and leave them high for a second, okay? Who here is all about risk? I'm jumping out. I'm jumping out the plane. I'm making the risks that other people aren't, taking up risks that other people aren't taking. Okay, great. So this image is actually probably all I need to say about risk. Right? If you sit too long in something, don't make a move, you will quickly become outdated. And the reality is, this is outdated now, right? Where's my friend in the room who's, iPod? Do you still have your iPod? Definitely. Okay, I support you. Okay. You will quickly become outdated if you don't step outside your risk zone, right? You will quickly become Blockbuster. You will quickly become the taxi cab industry right now, just trying to figure out where did Uber come from, right? That's what happens when you decide that I'm just going to play it safe all the time. So here are 3 recommendations that I have as it relates to risk. The problem that a lot of people have with risk, especially as it relates to leadership, is that you think that risk means that I have to throw it all on black. I have to risk it all, right? I have to jump out of an airplane with no parachute. That is not what I'm saying, dude. That is not at all. I'm talking about taking wise risks. So I'll give you an example. When I was working on my master's degree. I was about 25, 26 in Detroit, Michigan. And my master's degree is in instructional technology, which is essentially designing training programs. I hadn't had any formal experience in this yet. I was just working on a degree in it, so I hadn't had my first job in this world. I saw a job that I wanted, and I wanted it bad. It was an instructional designer for AAA of Michigan. I looked at the job description, and I noticed that I was 60% qualified for this job. What do you think I did? Apply for it? What, anybody else? You think I didn't apply for it? No? Yes? Maybe? I applied for it. Of course I applied for it, right? Been an entrepreneur for a long time. That's what we do. We take risks. I applied for the job. I went at the time and got the cheapest, most professional suit that I could find, which I think was at TJ Maxx. I pent my hair back in the most professional style. I looked online, spruced up a little bit, and I went to the interview. And a week later, I got the job. I was like, this is fantastic. This is great, right? I started the job. About 2 weeks into it, I started to struggle. Because you know what I didn't do? I didn't spend my time at home at night making up that other 40%. So here's my recommendation. You can take risks all day long. I encourage it. But if there is a knowledge gap that you have, it is up to you to make that knowledge gap up. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make that knowledge gap up in the office. It's your job to find mentors and look on YouTube and find people who are in the industry to make that knowledge gap up. So I encourage you to take risks all day long. I don't think you have to be 100% qualified for a job to apply, right? Perhaps you can get the job done and get the interview and then get the job later on, but the reality is there is some piece of a knowledge gap that you are responsible for. So I would actually do the exact same thing I did again, but I would totally be at home at night filling up that knowledge gap. So I recommend that you take wise risks, because what I did was a not so wise risk, and it's a whole chapter in the book about that. The second thing as it relates to risk is you don't have to throw it all on black, right? That doesn't mean that, oh, I have this passion. I'm just going to completely quit my job and go do this passion with no capital raise, no type of fundraising happening. That's throwing it all on black, right? Is it possible that you can do both? Could you do your day job and then do your evening job, right? Is it possible that you could hire a new associate, right, and then also help them out along the way instead of just hiring somebody, throwing them into the job, not sure if they're going to be successful? So I don't recommend that you throw it all on black, right? Have some type of cushion for yourself. And last but not least, fail fast. Who here fears failure? You have a fear of failure. Who here is okay with failure? If you fail, it's all right. Fail fast. Meaning, if you have an idea, you have a concept, throw it out there, see if it's going to work fast. You're working on an initiative in the office, just get it going, just start. One of the biggest questions that I get now that I'm traveling around doing book tours and teaching is, Jacqueline, I have this idea or I have this initiative in the office I really want to kick off. How do I kick it off? There are only 2 words you need. Just start. You don't know if it's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to be successful unless you just start it, right? So just start it. If it fails, pivot, make some changes to it, and keep it moving. So fail fast if you need to. Let's do a risk check. Where have you been limiting yourself? And be honest about this one. Where have you been limiting yourself and not taking enough risks? How can you stretch yourself in the future? Where have you been limiting yourself and not taking enough risks? Is it, hey, there's a job I really want to go after, right? Hey, is it, I want to hold my team more accountable, but I'm scared that they won't like me as a leader? Where have you been holding yourself back and not taking enough risks? Go ahead and document that. I'll give you 30 seconds. How can you stretch yourself in the future? So I have to revisit something that I posed in the beginning, because I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, okay, I have these principles around leadership, I have examples, But for real, like, what's leadership, Jacqueline? Could you just please just define it so I can have something tangible to walk away with today? And fine, I'll give it to you. The state or position of being a leader. That's what leadership is. The state or position of being a leader. And we can revisit every single one of those definitions if you like, and go over in detail what they mean and why they mean it, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is, like I said before, every single one of those definitions are accurate, depending on what level you're at. Leader of nations, leader of organizations, leader of others, leader of self. There is a reason, actually, why my tagline is redefining leadership. There is a reason. And the reason why is because for so long, all of us have been taught that leaders are something that one day you'll be. Right? One day you'll be a leader. You have to aspire to leadership. You have to work on it. You have to work hard at it. And I do believe that you do have to work hard at it. You have to work harder towards getting to the next level. But if I don't do anything today, the one thing I want to be crystal clear about is that everyone leaves here knowing that I knight you a leader. You don't need permission to say, I'm a leader. You don't need anyone to give you a certification to say, I'm a leader. Today, in the skin you're in, where you sit, regardless of title, if it is intern versus CEO, if it is assistant deputy secretary versus, entry-level accountant, you are a leader. You don't need permission for that. Now, it is your job to refine skills so you can better lead others, lead organizations, lead nations. But today, you're a leader. And so my action to myself is to redefine that, not only for you, but for the entire world. Because there is this magic that we have within us when you can boldly stand up and say, you know what, I am a leader. That is what I am. So you don't need permission. Today, moving forward, you're a leader. Now it's your job to put some things in place to move to your next level of leadership. I am super transparent, as you can see today in today's presentation, but I also want to let you know that you can contact me. If you ever have questions about leadership or about etiquette, or if you're like, hey, I really didn't understand that very well, feel free to reach out to me by any of these means or mechanisms. So I want to thank you today. I want to make sure that you insert vulnerability, credibility, and risk into everything that you do. And I look forward to you redefining your own personal leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. So what we're going to do is we're going to have closing remarks, and then Jacqueline has graciously agreed to stay for some Q&A. She likes to be close. There's a little distance from you, so she's going to come up where you are. But in the meantime, I would like to bring up our co-host and co-planner, Ms. Lindsay Blair, who's the Acting Division Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at Federal Protective Service within the National Protection and Programs Directorate. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinda. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the audience. Obviously, we are really appreciative. I know there was some metro issues and other things for traffic-wise, so we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come here and join this event. Three different areas for thank yous. One, logistics. So a huge thank you, and I'll give a 2-second quick story. We were in charge, and we were working on trying to get the venue. We called Department of Commerce, and we got, just as, hey, do you have ideas for locations? And they not only said yes, they said, yes, we'll cover the cost, we'll coordinate everything. We love Homeland Security. We'd love to do this for you. So huge thank you to the Department of Commerce, specifically Kevin Sadler, who was the person on the phone that said that. So thank you to him. Will Smith, and then Corey Sollers, who did all of the IT and setup. So thank you, Corey, who's back there. On live streaming, as you can tell, for those of you that are watching this, so we've had the Customs and Border Protection Visual Communications Team Division, specifically that came and helped. So Sean Moore, who's doing the live streaming, Joseph Burke, and George Felton. Thank you, guys. And then lastly, for the vision. So Deputy Director Michelle Bryan, who spoke earlier, she connected, she reached out. She's the one who sought out Ms. Baker, as well as Ms. Chief of Staff Corinda Washington. So they were coordinating. So thank you to your vision for bringing this, making this a reality. And then speaking of leadership, thank you to our leaders. So thank you to both Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary Barsa, as well as Director Patterson. Thank you both for allowing us to go forth, and you guys kind of gave us the reins and allowed us to make this happen. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, obviously, to our singer, and most importantly, thank you to our speaker. It was wonderful. So thank you all. Thank you. I think we're going to turn it over to questions.